Hello and welcome to my video. This one is about the One Faith achievement. I decided to do this video for the same reason I do most videos, because before I do achievements I look for videos, and I didn't find any on the One Faith, or I didn't find anything that helped me, and I had a lot of problems and a lot of issues with this achievement. As you can see, the day I finished it was in 1818, and I could have finished it a lot sooner had I not made a few mistakes. So let's get on with this video. Hang on, I'll turn the music down first a little bit louder. Right, now I personally think the easiest way of doing this achievement is by playing a Catholic nation. As you can see, if you're Catholic, it means you don't have to deal with Spain. As you can see, I'm not allied or anything with Spain. I could have naturally done a world conquest. World conquest is a lot easier than One Faith. So if you do One Faith, you can automatically do a world conquest. But we're talking about One Faith here. So you pretty much, all you need is for the world to be Catholic. So therefore, you don't need to conquer anyone who isn't Catholic. It's often a waste of your time. You just want to conquer lands that have a different faith than you, and then just convert it. Yeah, pretty much. So I chose France because they're very powerful, but I believe Spain could be even, well, not Spain, Castile, Castile, which is the starting Spain. So do not change the ideas. I believe the idea groups of Castile are better than France's, or could be better. So your choice is between Spain and France. Pick them, and then the first thing I advise you to do is become emperor. You could even use Austria, but I don't find Austria that powerful. I find them to be quite weak in many ways. They're just a very small and weak country at the beginning, and if you pick someone like France, they're just much more powerful. And the only thing that Austria has that France doesn't have is the emperor title at the beginning. So you pretty much, if you take France or Spain, want to work towards becoming emperor. Now, becoming emperor as France or Spain, it isn't that difficult. You pretty much want to make people like you. You do that, I'd advise you to first ally Brandenburg and Bohemia, and then you need to, I would say, improve relations with the rest of them so that your relations are as high as possible, and then to wait until the Austrian Empire, the emperors becomes weaker, so that you can then pick up those alliances and royal marriages with Palatinate and Saxony and Köln and all those things, to then get them to vote for you. So if you need any help with that, how the empire works and things like that, I'd advise you to watch videos. As I always say, one of the best YouTubers is called Budget Monk. He does a video on Austria, and you can do the same with France. Really, it's the same idea of how to run the empire. But a couple of tips. As I said, Brandenburg and Bohemia as allies are always fantastic. The rest of them, like I said, you see how the voting is going, who is popular, who isn't popular, and then just getting the alliances then, because you want to be careful that you don't tank your diplomatic relations. Because if I was France or Spain, I would ally the other one, because it just gives you a nice power base. Specifically when you're France, you want to at least have Spain as an ally through most of the game, pretty much. And maybe even someone like Poland. Actually, Poland is perfect. If you play anyone, getting Poland, because when you attack the Ottomans, having Poland help you is fantastic. And as I said, you don't really want to attack Poland because they're Catholics. You don't want to attack anyone who's Catholic, pretty much. You just want them to be strong. Right. So the other idea is, so you then you become emperor, and then you want to enact the reforms. And again, Budget Monk's videos, he looks at the empire and how to keep the empire Protestant. But shortly, if you're the emperor, you want to become emperor with this before 1490 or around then, before the Reformation starts. So if you're playing it and you're just having no luck, then I'd advise you just to restart it, because you want to be emperor so that when someone then converts to Protestant or Reformed, you can then attack them. The first idea group I take would be diplomatic ideas. That's what you always do when you're emperor. One of the reasons is because it makes people like you more. You have more diplomats, more diplomatic reputation. Let's have a look at it. Yeah, so more diplomats, diplomatic relations, diplomatic reputation, improved relations. Province war score is fantastic all the way through the game. It means you can take land cheaper and more land, and lowered impact stability from diplomatic actions. So, as an example, let's say Ansbach converts to Protestant, but you don't border them, you don't have a casus belli, you can declare war on them with a -1 stab hit and +1 aggressive expansion, etc. So it means you can declare these wars with less, I'm having a drink there, less penalties. So diplomatic ideas is what I take. If you take Austria, Spain or France. There you go. And then hopefully you're the emperor, then you want to get the reforms through, you want to maybe declare war on certain people, and all you do is then release nations like I did with Austria. I just released all the things, which means there's more people in the empire, which means the empire, your imperial authority is higher, and then you can get towards revoke the privilegia, what it's called, which means all the empire becomes your vassal. Now you don't need this, you can try it a different way, but this is the easiest way, because then you have the whole German empire, as you can see, all Germany, as your vassals, and every time you declare war, they'll all start marching, and there's hundreds of thousands of troops, and they'll do everything for you. And it means also that you can then, they won't convert to any other religion, or you can then convert them yourself. It's just massive, massive amounts of power. So whilst you're keeping the empire and getting the empire as a power base, Spain and Portugal are taking the New World and colonizing it and then converting it to Catholic. And yeah, then you can decide what you want to do. If you want to attack North Africa, the Ottomans, like I said, if you've got Poland as your friend, you can then attack the Ottomans. I'd advise you to release Byzantium. Byzantium is a good little vassal to have. They get religious ideas. I'm not sure if they get it automatically, but they get missionary strength +3, as you can see. They're just very, very good little vassal to feed. Now there are many ways to vassal feed, and it's a thing I'd advise you if you need to be an experienced player, more of an experienced player to understand vassals. But the idea is, if possible, to get land in the Ottoman lands and around here. I mean, I made a mistake, I didn't do this until later, and then release vassals. So as an example would be to conquer this parts of Venice and all that, and Hungary, to put it into the empire, to as you can see here, you could then click and add it to the empire, and then take one piece of land off, which belongs to Byzantium, off the Ottoman Empire, to then core it, put it into the empire, and then release Byzantium, and then you have Byzantium in the empire. Meaning when you, and you can do other ones as well, creation, and you can use these little vassals who will be, all your vassals who are classes in the empire do not class as your diplomatic relation limit. So that is fantastic. It means you can have as many vassals as you want in a way, and then you can feed them. I didn't do it as well, as you can see. I have more vassals that are not in the empire. I have Khorasan and Eretna and Iraq and Tibet. So I also had Mansina and Algiers, but then I released them. I converted it all to Catholic and then released it. Maybe you can do it better. I mean, it's up to you really how you do it. But the idea is to take the empire, to then create strong vassals that can also have missionary strength like Byzantium, put them in the empire, and then you just feed them land and have them core things for you, because you cannot core it yourself. As you saw, I used Khorasan and Tibet. I found them to be quite cool, good little vassals to convert land for me, and they did quite well. If you find your vassal isn't converting land, then the idea is to give them money. So you just subsidize them, because if they have money, then they'll convert. If they don't have money, they won't convert. Another little tip to conversions is later on in the game, it's easy when I look at it here, is counting house, which means local missionary strength +3. So let's say you've got loads of land, it still needs to be converted. You just build counting houses all over the place, in your vassals' land, your own land, wherever, build it, and it makes things easy to convert. your vassals are more likely to convert it, and you can convert it yourself faster too. So there you go. So counting houses, you just want to declare when you have a power base, when you're France and you have a power base of Germany, it becomes quite trivial to take land. So world conquest is quite easy that way. The main issue, like I said, is being careful which vassals you have, how you feed your vassals, and giving them money so they convert for you. Because a good vassal that I didn't take is Naj, as they call it. Here you go. It's in the Arabian area, and you release them. You can't make them part of the empire, but don't worry about it, because I think the empire doesn't go that far down. Just release them and then give them India. People say because Naj is quite good at converting. I mean, I could release them right now, I guess. Release? No. Anyway, they just get massive bonuses to conversions, like Byzantium does. I think Khorasan, Tibet, and Iraq also do. You just go over it and look and say, well, what did they get? There you go. Iraq gets missionary strength, +1. Khorasan gets no missionary strength, but they converted quite a lot for me, which impressed me. They were here in the Persian region, were one of the easier vassals for me to create, and they did most of the conversion themselves, so they're quite handy. Korchin, as they're called, are quite a good one. They get, as you see, corporation cost -25%, which is fantastic. Years of separatism less. They don't get any conversion speed, so that might be a negative, but for the area here, they're quite good. If I'm honest with you. I took then a Japanese one. Any one will do. It doesn't really matter which one you take, and just give him money and he'll convert stuff. But you don't have to worry, because what will happen, they'll state things themselves, and it means you can convert things faster. So you can go here, include subjects, and then you'll see what you can convert. And if it belongs to one of your vassals, they'll make a state out of it, and then you can convert things faster. If something's not a state, then it has a -2 to conversion speed. So that's not good. That's why you want vassals for many reasons. Number one, that they do it themselves, and number two, you can convert the land often faster as well than you could convert it if you held on to it. Now the big issue is, as you see, I still have all these vassals. Why didn't I integrate them? Well, in the game now, they've reduced the amount of territories you can have. As you can see, I don't have much. Most of this stuff doesn't count as territory, by the way. Trade company. So anything that's in a trade company, that's actually not a trade company. This here, anything that's in a trade company doesn't count towards your limit of territories, which is here. And if you have too many territories, you want this, because, well, like I said, this doesn't count. Anything in a trade company doesn't count. Everything else becomes a state or a territory. State you create yourself, as you know, if you're an more experienced player. And then if you have too many territories, you get a corruption penalty, and the higher the corruption penalty, the more you have to pay. And the more you have to pay, the less money you have. It can cripple you. It can actually destroy you. So you need to have people like Byzantium, because if I owned this land here, I'd be crippled financially, even though I'm making quite a lot of money now. But early on in the game, if I just took this terrain and didn't feed it to vassals, I got them in a union, by the way, it just happened. Then you just can't run it. I mean, in the older versions it would work. You can take all the land yourself. Great stuff. You can't do it anymore. So vassals are much more important. So another couple of tips. When you go into the colonial region, as you can see, they don't belong to me anymore. Mexico used to. When you go in the colonial region, I would advise you to convert the capital of your colony first. So when a colony creates, just convert the capital, because later on they will send the colonists to the capital when they can't colonize anything anymore, and you won't be able to convert it anymore because it's blocked. Conversion gets blocked when you develop. Develop is when you send a colonist here like this. Promote settlement growth. So as I say, I repeat, all the capitals of your colonies, convert them as ASAP, because otherwise you'll have the same problem that I had, that Mexico will block it, and then I had to release them and declare war on them and then conquer the land again. It's a pain and it costs more time. Another thing that I would advise, or another thing that people aren't aware of, is this. As you notice, I've taken everything apart from here. There you go, settlements are still growing. and you need everything that has to say Catholic. Before I colonized here, it said animalist or sunny. So if you have a colonist there, it changes the religion straight away to Catholic. And you know, you need it all. Every part of the world has to say Catholic. You can't say any other religion. If it says another religion, it's not going to let the achievement trigger. So that's it really. Everything just has to be Catholic. It doesn't have to belong to you. It just has to have the tag Catholic. And then, like I said, from time to time, terrain gets converted automatically. It's weird to Protestant. It's a pain. I'd advise you not to worry too much about it at the beginning. Just go for getting your vassals stronger, expanding. In a way, I guess, creating vassals here in the Holy Roman Empire, and then spreading them out like this in like lines. You can do it like that, which means then you can give the land to vassals which are in the Empire, which is better. I mean, if they're in the Empire, it means they are happier. As you can see, Byzantium is happier than Khorasan, even though Khorasan is smaller than Byzantium. Byzantium's huge, as you can see. Well, could be bigger, but I mean, and it doesn't count towards, as you see, the diplomatic relations. So that helps you a lot if it doesn't count towards that. So abuse that system. I could have given Byzantium like north of Africa and things like that. I mean, remember when you have a vassal and you conquer land, they have a coring range, and you can still give them that. So I could have actually given this in a war to Byzantium. It doesn't. When you give terrain, let's say I want to give Byzantium terrain, it has to border them. But if it's in a war, then it's in coring range, so you can actually spread out your vassals' land more that way. I hope that made sense. Right, a couple of other things that I need to look at. Right, so as I said, I'd pick a Catholic nation because it's much easier, and most of the people will do all the heavy lifting for you. I would advise you to take Spain. I did France, but I think Spain might actually be better. I mean Castile, because Castile gets +1 missionary, and the more missionaries that you have is the better. You get missionaries from base value 1, Defender of the Faith +1, missionary schools, which will be the religious group I would advise you to take. Conquer Jerusalem and Mecca, which gives you also 1, and then if you're Spain, you get another 1, so you'll have 6. Like I said, people to release: Byzantium, Iraq, Tibet is quite alright, you know, Niger. And then lands to keep are the ones in your trade centres. So you can actually give that to Naj, have him convert it, and then just integrate Naj, and then keep him yourself. If you like have him here, he only has a little bit of land, but then give him all of India, have him convert India for you, and then you can integrate it, and that's alright, that's no problem at all. But you shouldn't integrate things like this, or this, or Byzantium, or Cochin, because you get so much land, it's shit land, and it'll just increase your territories. Like, I could have integrated Japan, but I would just have too many territories, and then my corruption would kill me. So it's good to have vassals now. This is all, as you see, trade company again. That's why I've got it belongs to me, because trade companies don't count towards the territory limit if they are, as you see here, in the trade company. Right. Ideas. Let's look at them. Diplomatic idea is the first one, naturally, for this to work. You want the Holy Roman Empire, you want to get the privilegia, you want to use them to fight your wars, and they will do all the heavy lifting for you. If you're the kind of player like me who's kind of lazy, I don't like splitting my armies, I don't like micro sieges and all that garbage, it's even better. It means it's good for lazy people. Second one, religious ideas. I love religious ideas. I love Deus Vult. I think religious ideas is just a good idea group. It allows you to get prestige and things like that. And I've talked about ideas. I've done a video with idea groups, so you can look at that if you want. Then it doesn't really matter what you take. If I'm honest with you, I would advise administrative and influence. They're always important for world conquest. These two are world conquest, and as you're doing a 1/5, it is technically a world conquest, so they are fantastic. And it doesn't really matter, you know. I mean, just take what you like. I took aristocratic, but you could have taken anything else, really. I mean, you don't have to take. I mean, aristocratic with religious gives you missionary strength, but missionary strength isn't really a thing that's going to cripple you. But, I mean, what other military idea would you take? That's the thing, you know. You look at it and think, well, which other idea would give me something? And as you can see, nothing really. So aristocratic is the way to go. Exploration. So you can, I mean, you don't need exploration actually. I mean, you can call it, yeah, actually you do need exploration or expansion. There are a couple of ways of playing this. You can use your spy networks, and then have a ship with a soldier, and then just move the soldier around. I attack Portugal, take Portugal's little colonies. You can continually just let Portugal expand and take his colonies. What I did, but what you want to do is steal his maps. So you could play with expansion. Maybe it's better than exploration. It's up to you. Exploration is easier because then you just explore everything, and then you just have your settler. And then I'd advise you, right, how to colonize. So you have your expansion. You then use Portugal, and then you just steal maps continually. Or you use exploration and you explore it yourself. In the end, as you saw, I have both anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. And I'd advise you when it comes to using your colonists to go all the way down to Africa. You want to take everything that's not Catholic. Let the other ones, like Portugal, France or Spain, whoever you're not playing, Denmark and all that, let them take all this. I mean, I declared war against them and took all this land off them because I was that stupidly powerful. But you can ignore all of this and let them do all the heavy lifting. And in the last 100 years of the game, then I'd look at cleanup, and then you look at the colonies and see what is not converted, and then you just take the land that you see here, what I've done, that's not been converted, take it and then convert it. Simple, really. That's why I only own these bits of France, of America, because, well, they weren't converted. Everything else was, and I only need to take land that's converted. I could have taken it all, to be honest, if I wanted to, but you make it as easy as possible for yourself, because it's not about mass, it's about converting. If you want a world conquest, naturally, you'll play more aggressive than I did. I was very passive in many ways. I let Spain keep all this stuff. I didn't declare war on him, and I could have, well, eaten him up, slowly eaten him. Yeah, just however you want to play. I mean, if you want to do a world conquest in it, then I'd advise you to play more aggressive. And consider what land to take. I wouldn't be too aggressive at the beginning of the game. I would focus on taking all the trade companies. I took this land here last. Believe it or not, that used to belong to Kazembe, who I founded. It was a vassal. I ate the vassal because I needed to colonize land. I didn't know that you had to colonize everything, and because he was in the way, I couldn't actually get in range. This also belonged to Mancina. I had declared war against him. Took this land so that I could colonize this stuff here, because it was all empty, and I didn't know that you had to colonize everything, because this was uncolonized and it was classed as Sunni or whatever it was. So you need to, every piece of land has to be Catholic. You can't leave anything empty because it doesn't count towards your achievement. Here as well, this was empty and animist, and then I had to also colonize it. So just colonize everything and then convert it. Use your vassals to take everything that's not in a trade company, and just leave the vassals. Don't integrate them unless you really need to. Like I said, if you use Naj here. Right, let's have a look. Is there anything else? Yeah, just be careful. Curia controller's good. Yeah, I mean, Defender of the Faith I've talked about. Right, let's talk more about these. Important, like I said, one or the other depending on your playstyle. Aristocratic. Why did I pick naval ideas? Usually it's complete garbage. I picked it because if you look at the which one is it? This one here, supply convos. I picked it because the limited desire was reduced of my subjects, and I just decided to pick it. I mean, I might as well try it out. The limited desire were very high, often it was over 100. I wouldn't worry about it, it just means it won't fight wars for you, but the Empire will fight. And seeing that you're going to be that big with the Empire and these vassals, nobody's ever going to threaten you or attack you or do anything. It's just going to be that powerful. Power isn't the problem when you've taken this. It's all about convert. So like I said, get your vassals in there and get them to convert stuff. Give them money. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anything more I can say. If you have any questions, just write them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer.